Well, hello everybody. Danny back from Pecan Grove, back on the Cub Farmall restoration. Had a few comments about the air filter system on the Cub Farmall, and I am at the point to reinstall the air filter system back on the Farmall. So I thought I would take this opportunity to show the install of it, what we have to do to make it work, and how it goes back on. Now, this right here is the air breather assembly that goes on the Cub Farmall. It has been taken all the way back down to the metal and primed and repainted. And today we're going to install this back on the Farmall and all the other parts that go to it and hook it all back up to the carburetor. Now I'm going to see if I can readjust the camera here. Now there's two bolts that go right here in the front of the head. They go through this right here. They're 2 1/2-inch bolts. We're going to go ahead and stick this. Now it can be a little bit tricky getting your hands up in here. I know there's no way to get a camera in there because it's very tricky just to get your hands in there is a chore. You always have to try to figure out which way works best and which way you can run your arms around through here to actually make this happen. Well, trying to figure out here. Let me see if I can start the bottom one. Maybe it'll start a little bit easier, and then we'll try to put the top one in. How about that? We're always trying to figure out what works out the best. There we go. The bottom one started pretty quickly. Now, the top one should line up a little bit better if I can just figure out where to put my hand around through here. So there is absolutely no easy. There we go. We got it now. Okay. We got them started in there. Now, I'm not going to bore you with me having to sit here and tighten them down because it is going to take some time. Alright, we've got the air breather assembly bolted on now. Now comes the task of putting on. We had this copper tube that serves as kind of like what you'd call a PCV valve in a modern day engine. This lets the gases in the crankcase come back up through this little copper tube here and come back into the air filter system here and be reburnt in there. So we're going to see if we can't get this thing around in here. Now always make sure you blow and clean these lines out really good, and clean it out going into the block, because it's just a hole going into the block. And whenever I had the oil pan off and everything, I decided this is as good a time as any, because when you punch it, if there's trash in it, which 99% of the time there is, when you punch it, it's going to fall out and fall into the oil pan. And of course with me, it just fell onto the floor down there. But that is the purpose of this line here. Now we're going to go ahead and see if we can't get this thing tightened down here. And this is, if yours is messed up, this is just a plain copper line. You shouldn't have any problem purchasing this at any local hardware store, or maybe even a parts house, and getting the right brass fittings to screw into it there. It's not really that big of a deal there. We're going to go ahead and see if we can't get it stuck on up here. And that's going to have this part of it hooked up to the motor. Alright, we got it there now. Now what we have left is the bowl assembly. And I'm not going to put any oil in it right now because I'm going to do a video later on showing putting oil in everything in the whole tractor, what kind of oil, how much, and all that type of stuff. So this is the bottom of the oil bowl. Now there is get it up where you can see it. There is a cup in the middle of it here And what you do is you pour oil up till it comes up. There's a ring inside this. You see that ring right there on the side of this? You fill it up with oil to that point right there. And it will run over inside this because there's some holes drilled down in there. It'll fill up all that in there, fill it up level. And then you want to take this and you want to put it up under the bottom of this. Now there are 2 holes in the side of this for this thing to snap in right here. Let me see if I can find them over there. There you go. And then this thing will go up under here just like this. And this will come down and snap and lock it and hold it right there like that to hold that in place. Now, the next thing we have to do is we've got to be able to come from the filter system down to the carburetor down here. Now let me tilt the phone, the camera down here just a little bit. We're going to be coming from here to right down here. Now they make a tube that goes just like this right here. There is a rubber boot up here, which I went to my local parts house and I picked it up. It's 1.25 inch rubber hose. I think if you want the exact measurement on it, it's like, I don't know, I think it's like 2.5 inches is what the exact measurement. I cut mine just a little bit longer than that. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick it on the carburetor down here. I'm going to fold it over. I can come down. I may have to slide it down the pipe a little bit more. All right, there we go. And you can just take your fingers, you can slide it back up. Since I just repainted all this, that paint is really wanting to stick to this really, really bad. Maybe the little clamp might be too tight. Maybe that's what it is. Get that to drop off of there. I think we'll be a lot better off right now. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Clamp was just a little bit tight on it. Because once you put these pipe clamps on here, up here, you're not going to be able to get back to them because the hood is on there. Now this right here really, other than once we put the hood on, putting the cap on top of it up here, that's all there is to installing the air breather system on here. Like I said, when we do the oil fill on the tractor, we will show filling the filling this bowl up here and what kind of oil and how much. Thank you guys from Pecan Grove.